Welcome back to Chit Chats with Chich. I'm Chich. So today I thought I would go with a list. So I decided to do 10 things I wish I knew before I attended Syracuse University. So I just graduated in May, and this is kind of a list of things that I kind of wish I had a better understanding of before I attended. So if a professor says that attendance counts, believe them. So this is like the easiest way to get points. You literally show up and put your butt in a seat. Like, it's not any more complicated than that. You literally show up, sign in, or whatever the process is, but you get points for this in some classes. Not all, but it's the easiest thing on the syllabus to get an A in. And honestly, like, if you miss a couple classes, like, your grade for that chunk could easily drop to like a B or a C, and then overall, like, it does hold weight. Like, it's actually very detrimental to your overall final grade if you have a low attendance grade, but it's the first thing to like help boost you. It could literally be the difference between a B, B plus, etc. Like, it's just go to class if the professor says it counts, because if it doesn't, like, that's up to your discretion to go. So the second thing I wish I knew before attending Syracuse is that there are a lot of hills on campus. So it's literally called University Hill. Like, there are hills everywhere. Just walking up to like Hall Languages is like a slight hill. But I actually lived at this one off-campus like apartment thing, but it was very central to campus. And my sorority house was actually literally beneath it because it was on a hill. But that hill to go, it was like a block, but it was so steep, and in the winter when there was ice on it, it was treacherous. So that is definitely something I wish I knew before attending, that there are hills everywhere and you need the proper shoes and the right mindset to tackle them. So for some reason, college campuses, everybody gets sick. I'm guessing because everyone's like making out with people and they're just not taking good care of themselves, and just, you're at the bar and you touch something and you're sick, you just wiped your nose, you're not thinking, and you touch the table, and then Sally Joe comes over and touches the table and then touches Joe Schmo's face while she's making out with him, and then he makes out with someone else. Like, it gets spread. People are gross, and you never are healthy. Freshman year, I literally had perpetual coughs. I was always like taking naps because I felt so run down. I always had colds. It was horrible. Sophomore year, I had a sinus infection. I had strep throat. It was just bad. And then junior year, pink eye. I had this perpetual cough because I'm pretty sure I was allergic to the insulation in my apartment, and I was just always coughing. Took 4 antibiotics because of that, because I kept going to the health services and they weren't just telling me like, oh, you like have allergies or whatever. I was taking, so I destroyed my gut and liver for sure. Senior year, I was probably the most healthy, because at that point I think my body was used to like Syracuse, but I had the most illnesses. I would go weeks without not coughing or sneezing or anything, but I had pink eye again. So junior and senior year, I had pink eye right at around the same time of year, just so strange. I had tonsillitis senior year. That was horrible. I had to get steroids to calm my throat because I was so, I couldn't like talk or breathe or swallow correctly. It was awful. And then I had strep throat during my like senior week. So I thought I did everything I could to stay healthy. I drank tons of water. I worked out. You're just gonna get sick. It's just gonna happen. It's just a part of college. A side note to this, so like 3A thing I wish I knew is health services sucks. I don't think they ever really misdiagnosed me except for junior year when I had that cough, and they just like weren't telling me that it wasn't anything bacterial. They have like misdiagnosed people. Like, I've heard horror stories of like people saying they didn't have anything and then they not getting better and going to a specialist and they have pneumonia or like bronchitis or like these horrible sicknesses that like are easily treated, but health services was missing it. So just like stuff like that. My roommate junior year had a medicine, I think it was her sophomore year, and they accidentally prescribed her the dose for like a 350-pound man, and she was like 110 pounds, and like just stuff like that, like just nightmares. It's also really hard to get an appointment. You have to call it like 8 a.m. to get in that day, and like most kids in college aren't getting up at 8 a.m. unless they have a class at 8. So if you call 2 o'clock, you're gonna get in the next day or the day after, and you have something like strep or pink eye or something that's like, you kind of want it treated then. Health services, it's really hard to get an appointment, so I recommend going to Prompt Care, which is at the edge of Marshall Street on Irving. They're really good at getting you in. I've never stayed for more than like an hour 20, which that includes waiting, being seen, being discharged, examination, everything. So it's really pretty time efficient also for people in between classes or whatever, and they're very good at giving you the correct thing. So I'd recommend going there if you can, if your insurance covers it. For me, it did accept an $80 copay, but they can send that to your parents at home, which is nice. You don't have to pay that up front. There are no Coca-Cola products on campus. It is strictly Pepsi campus, which was disappointing a little bit for me because I was obsessed with Coca-Cola my senior year. Well, all throughout childhood really, but I was really into like diet soda that year and like whatever. So coming to Syracuse and I was like, oh my God, there's no Diet Coke. I was a little disappointed, but I adapted, drank a lot more coffee then. And then now I like Diet Pepsi better than Diet Coke actually because I got accustomed to it. Now I think Diet Coke tastes like crap. So, silver lining there, but I did at the time wish I knew before. For the fifth one, because Syracuse is so cold all the time, besides when it's like 90 in September, it's very, very, very cold. Like I grew up in a climate where it was like 25, 30s was like average, and like it's literally like the teens and like early 20s. And then sometimes, like my freshman year, it was like literally in the negatives and like a high of 10 every day all that year, but we got not that much snow. And then the next 3 years, it was like more snow and like it was like kind of a more normal temperature. But I think the administration, because of that, thinks that they need to put the academic buildings at like 80 degrees. So then like, okay, yeah, you take off your jacket, you're wearing a coat, but you're in like a sweater or like a thick sweatshirt or something, and like you're gonna die. Like it's so hot. Like I would be like dripping because I'm in like layers and layers, and I'm like, okay, so I'd recommend getting a very, very warm winter coat. Don't worry about wearing that many layers because those types of jackets are going to be warm enough that you won't feel cold outside, and then you'll feel nice inside because apparently they tend to keep the buildings so hot. But like if it's like 30 outside and you walk into a building that's at 69 or 70, it's gonna feel warm because you were in 30 degrees, but they put it at like 80. But it gets very hot, and I'm also a person that tends to be very hot, so for me, that was something I wish I knew. So the sixth thing I wish I knew is that the snow is real. There is a lot of it. You probably get 7 to 10 snowstorms of 15 to 25 inches, and the whole winter from basically mid-November until like mid-March, there's going to be snow on the ground. Like you will not see grass until mid-March if you're lucky. Like this past year, it was like 30 in April, like the whole month pretty much. So it's very fickle weather also. Yeah, don't drive in it. Definitely don't drive in it. I made the mistake and I've spun out and it's just bad. And then parking, and then if you like stay there, you'll get like snowed in. If you are in a fraternity or sorority, I recommend buying a spot at the house if you can, so then you don't have to dig yourself out if you don't have a driveway at your off-campus residence, because I did not senior year and I would often get snowed in and then I would get tickets and it was just bad. So then I started driving to my sorority house and parking there and letting it get snowed in there because I wasn't going to get ticketed for parking there, and then I would dig it out 2-3 days later and I would just walk everywhere for those couple of days, which wasn't that bad because they were very good about paving. So basically like once the snow set, about 2 hours later, you could probably dig your car out and like drive home or whatever. Side note on this one, so this is like snow was number 6, it's like 6A. Parking tickets are real. So also with the snow thing, be careful of parking tickets because you will get them. If you think you won't, think again because you will. I've literally probably got 12 to 15 tickets my entire 4 years there. Well, I didn't have a car freshman year, so between the 3 years, probably like 12 to 15, and they are expensive. They went up. They used to be 20, and they went up to like 25, and the next year they were 30. Depends on the violation, but anywhere from $20 to $40. So they're real. Watch the signs for street parking. My senior year, I had to street park, and you had to change every day, and it was torture. And you will get ticketed if your car is past the time. You will. They know that kids are in college and they forget and whatever, and they're out there ticketing. So make sure that you don't get one because they will add up. My friend actually got so many and she wasn't paying them. She got a boot on her car, and I had to take her to the towing place to get her out. So the seventh thing I wish I knew before coming to Syracuse was how big Greek life was. I did participate in it and I absolutely loved it. I just kind of wish I knew how big it was because I didn't join until my sophomore year, and I kind of wish I knew earlier how big of an impact it was to your life on campus. It really made mine so much better. I loved it. I made so many new friends. It's just kind of like having that extra like home at your new home. And I really liked that concept of it. And then you get to meet a bunch of people that are also a part of it. I just kind of wish I knew how big it was. It was a kind of shock at how like big it was and how impactful it was on like your social life or whatever. So in hindsight, I do wish I knew a little bit more about it going in. I really do recommend it. I made so many great friends that I know I'll have for life. I live with 2 of them now in the city, and it's a lot of fun, and I really think it adds to the college experience. So if you're on the fence about it, I would recommend doing it, especially at Syracuse. So the 8th thing I wish I knew, this is like very sappy, but the 8th thing I wish I knew was how hard it would be to say bye. I had a time of my life at Syracuse. I highly recommend people going there. And I did not know how hard it would be to say bye. It was like very hard because you just get really used to it. You're doing your senior year, this way of life, and then it's like, okay, bye, you're done. I wish I knew how hard it would be to say bye before going. Would have prepared a little bit more. But yeah, really awesome school and recommend if you're considering. So the 9th thing I wish I knew was if you make a YouTube channel and make a video about someone, there is a good chance that someone at your school will find it and then play it on a projector at their fraternity after you've graduated, but the person it's about is still on campus. So luckily I have someone that told me this happened and showed me that it was in someone's Snapchat, which I will put right here. So fair warning that if you make stories about people you went to school with, they can be found and brought to campus. 10th thing I wish I knew was, I'm actually glad I didn't know any of this because I think it kind of helped me figure out who I was, and it aided in making my experience what it was for me. I think not knowing all this kind of made my experience that much better because I was able to learn and figure it out, and I think that's why I ended up loving Syracuse so much, was because I didn't know all this, and I think that every one of these tips gave me a lesson in some way, and now I can hopefully help someone else. But in hindsight, I'm kind of glad I didn't know, and I kind of got to figure out campus for myself.